All right, Revelation Wellness community, it's me in front of a podcast mic. It is teaching time, and this one is a long time coming. You have been asking, we have been busy, and it felt appropriate. Today, I am going to teach on menopause. Menopause, the stages of menopause. So if you think that this teaching does not apply to you, if you are over the age of 35, this teaching applies to you. And you know what? This teaching applies to you if you are under the age of 35. Please, I beg you, you're too wise. You're too forward thinking to not be aware of what is going to come. And our younger daughters, please know, it is good news. I have good news for you today. Where the world can tell you some great things about this stage of life, just the fact that we know more than we've ever known, that's good news. I'm going to tell you great news. So stay tuned, because whether you are 18, 25, 35, we're all in this together. And at Revelation Wellness, we are a culture of honor. We honor you. If you are 18 and running the fastest mile of your life, we applaud you. We're so excited. We love it. And if you are 75 and you're like, I can barely walk a mile, we honor you. You are honored in this house. You matter. And we are going to talk about the ministry of menopause today. I'm going to also talk about the basics when it comes to menopause. So we got to lay the foundation. I really do think this might be our first ever episode to talk about menopause. And it's just time. The other day, this actually kind of came out of nowhere because I had seen that there was an Oprah Winfrey special that went out all on menopause. It was a big deal on primetime. It was like ABC primetime television, which I don't know, does anybody watch television anymore? But there it was. And I watched it. And to be honest with you, I was pretty kind of let down. I thought it was going to inform people more about things they needed to know, about some of the myths behind menopause. They did some of it, but I'm just saying it felt a little bit more like a celebrity who's who. And, you know, I think it was Halle Berry was talking, and then Mary Claire Haver, and I don't know, a couple other celebrities, Naomi Watts. I mean, it was lovely, but I don't feel like it informed you. Today, you are going to be informed. And you excited about this? You're going to be inspired. I'm excited to inspire you as well as inform you today. And you and I both know we get to go to the high places. We get to talk about the things that the world is not going to talk about. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they do know, and that's just not their lane. This is our lane. Everything God created is good, and nothing is to be rejected if it is received with thanksgiving, for it is made holy by the word of God in prayer. Everything that seems broken and not working the way it should, or feels frustrating and overwhelming, it's all good. Remember, the enemy tries to make a mess. God creates. All the enemy can do is bend, twist, and destroy. I like to say the enemy has no clay. He has no clay. Actually, I heard that in a book. I don't know what book I was reading, but I would like to say I've said that. No, someone else said that. I'm like, that is the truth. The enemy has no clay. All he can do is deform things. And we are living in a fallen world. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, and let's get excited. Can we do that? I'm telling you, I think I'm going to raise up an army today. I'm going to raise up an army of women, and we're going to keep our heads on straight. And we are going to remember that we are here for the glory of God, not our own glory. And he gets glory. We get goodness and joy in return. He is a communal God. He's with us in all seasons. And where he is the fullness of joy. All right. So let's talk about it. Well, let me tell you what we're going to do. In the topic of menopause, I'm going to break it down to 3 simple categories that have to do with our biology, and then I'm going to bring it home with some theology. Who's excited? So we're going to drop the pin on the biology first. This is the stuff the world is talking about, or there might be a lot of messages out there. And I also want to take a moment to say thank you. For some of you have said to me, Alisa, I've been waiting for you to say something because I trust you. I don't know how I trust the voices of everyone else out there. It feels swirly. Thank you. There's some great, I think, trustworthy voices out there, but they're also not going to take you to the high places. So a lot of my teaching today is going to come from the study I have of the research based on some of these great teachers out there, but then I'm going to take you higher. Okay. All right. So let's talk about what is menopause. And then we're going to talk about what are the effects of menopause, why it occurs, and then I'm going to take you into some biblical, fun, get our minds on straight stories. All right. So first thing we need to know is, what in the world is menopause? Well, menopause is the natural stage in a woman's life when menstrual periods stop permanently. That marks the end of their reproductive years. It is diagnosed after 12 consecutive months without menstruation or spotting, and typically occurs between ages 45 and 55, with the average age of 52 in the United States. So think about that for a second. It's the one day that you have gone 12 months without a period. Menopause is actually only one day of your life. It is that day when you have gone 1 year without your period. Every day prior to that one day where you are starting to shed, you're starting to decrease in your ability to have ovaries released from your eggs. Basically, from the time we are born, we have like a bazillion amounts of eggs. That's a big number. We have a plethora of eggs in which we know one of those eggs can take root with a sperm and you got a baby. So we're ready. God has made us to be life givers, life bringers, life storers, life holders, life keepers. It's pretty cool, which is why, can I say for a minute, why I think the enemy tries to destroy us. He tries to busy us. He tries to still kill our beauty, our life, and then there's no more life. Amen? So we have this really, can we just drop the pin there? What a wonder. Our bodies, female only, with ovaries and uteruses, can carry a baby, can make a baby too. Well, we don't make it. It's a partnership thing, but we can carry life, birth life, care for life. It's a beautiful, beautiful miracle and honor. When we begin to age, as we age, we stop producing as many eggs. And by the time you get to the age around 35, which is why women often feel like, oh, the clock is ticking, we are not as fertile, basically. And from that age, after the age of 35, we just continue to lose eggs. And that does not mean that you still can't get pregnant, because I just met a woman at the gym who got pregnant at 45. Yeah. That's incredible. And we've heard stories about women in their 50s. So if you're still getting your period, you still have the ability to carry a child. But the likelihood goes down, down, down. And that's where perimenopause starts to show up. It's like not just the fact that you're less fertile, but there's also some other symptoms that start to show up. And I'll talk about those in a second. So the symptoms of menopause do not happen on that one day that you don't have the 12 you've gone a year without a period, and then afterwards, no, it's the ramp up that happens. And for some, it can be as early as 35. And for others, it's later. But again, look, menopause, you can go one day without your period somewhere between 45 and 55, with the average being age 52. Menopause occurs due to a decline in ovarian function, leading to reduced production of hormones like estrogen and progesterone. It can also result from surgical removal of ovaries or medical treatments like chemotherapy. So, as I was saying, it occurs because of a decline of our fertility and our hormones, which, remember, we're just all chemical factories. Our bodies are just amazing chemical factories, and we can be pumping out hormones and neurotransmitters that help us to feel good and young and fertile and all those things, and also some that make it a little bit more crazy, like cortisol or adrenaline, but they all serve a purpose in right relationship. So perimenopause is the transition phase before menopause. It lasts several years and it's characterized by hormonal fluctuation and symptoms like irregular periods. Things start to feel a little off, a little less consistent. And again, that can start to happen as early as the age of 35. Menopause is the point when menstruation ceases permanently. By the way, shout out to any of the guys listening. Hey, hi Rev guys. We're so glad you're listening and you're informed if you are. Maybe it's not by choice. If you're just in the kitchen listening to my voice, thanks for hanging out with us today. I promise your wife, your sister, your mother, whoever's listening to this is gonna have joy in her bones by the end of this teaching. Postmenopause are the years after menopause with persistently low hormone levels. All right, so let's talk about symptoms. How do I know if I'm perimenopause? Well, you'll know if you're menopause because you're not getting your periods anymore. But by the way, you might be someone who had a hysterectomy, so you weren't getting periods, but your ovaries are still in, but you don't get periods. So how do you know if you're in menopause or that you've gone 1 year without them? Well, you kind of don't because you don't get your periods, but you can pay attention to these following symptoms. Here's your common symptoms. They include hot flashes. That was the big one. That was the big one for me. By the way, I'm coming to you as Mama Keats, who is postmenopausal. I am on the other side. But oh my goodness, was it a little wild there for a minute. And I would actually say, I'll just say personally, my first signs of something was changing, body aches. I had some body aches. I would call it inflammation. Now, the inflammation could have been coming because of my change in my estrogen and progesterone, which will cause you to have more inflammation because estrogen and progesterone are really good cortisol fighters, specifically estrogen. A lot of the big one with menopause, any stage, it's the loss of estrogen. Estrogen is like, makes your body really supple, makes your skin really soft. It's, I don't know, for me, I kind of like to think of it as like an internal fountain of youth. It kind of keeps things moist. Oh, that word. Keeps things supple. And as estrogen starts to decrease, because it will, because we're aging, then you'll start to feel it. So I started to feel aches and pains in my bones and just a little more inflammation. That was one of my first signs that something was changing. The bigger one that I noticed more like, was I had a midsection bloat going. Like my belly just kind of, there it is, out of nowhere, literally. I was 50 years old. I wore this amazing pink jumpsuit on my 50th birthday, feeling like a rock star. And I think about 3 weeks later, I was sitting at my kitchen table and I felt my stomach on my thighs or kind of down at the crease of my hips like I'd never felt before. I was like, all right. I thought maybe I was a little bloated or gassy. After that, it never went away. It just stayed around for a long time. Now, if you've listened to some of my other teachings, I knew that I was inflamed by some of the workouts that I continued to do, but also my body was changing. My hormones, the estrogen was going down. It was like the worst thing I could do was stress my body. So chicken or the egg, who knows? But things were going haywire. The things that worked for me at all the previous stages of my life, they were not working, and they were also feeling not great in return. It was weird. It was a really confusing time. Then I had hot flashes. Whew! Middle of the night sweats. You wake up and you're in a pool of your own sweat in all the places. Behind the knees. Anyone? Behind the knees. Or in the what's this thing called? I don't want to say your cleavage, I guess. I was going to say décolleté, but anyways, it's anywhere there's creases, anywhere there's skin on skin, you're just turning into a river. Night sweats, I had those. Mood changes, I don't know. Maybe my husband would say I had them, but some of you just noticed more irritable. Sleep disturbances, yes, I wasn't sleeping. Vaginal dryness, yes, that makes sex very painful. Weight gain, midsection bloat, a little bit of weight gain potentially, and then body aches and joint pain. By the way, frozen shoulder is now being connected to menopause, being in some stage of menopause. Basically, your whole body uses estrogen in all different ways. All systems of your body are using estrogen. And when estrogen starts to go down and the progesterone and yes, some of the testosterone, our body systems just don't work the same. And so joint pain, our bones have estrogen in them. So when estrogen goes down, we can get frozen shoulders back to joint aches and pains. So there you go. If you're like, why, what is this about? And then this was a big one, guys. This one here, memory issues, like cognitive decline. I remember thinking my aunt had Alzheimer's. She died of Alzheimer's. I think I'm getting Alzheimer's. This is early onset. I think I even Googled one time, how do I know if I have early Alzheimer's happening to me? Well, it was, again, your brain is working on all this chemistry of hormones, neurotransmitters. Your hypothalamus is the part of your brain. It's in the midsection of the brain, it's near and buried in the midsection of the brain, like where the amygdala is. And if you're on YouTube right now, you're just looking at my hand, but it's deep in there with the amygdala. But the hypothalamus, man, it's command central of the brain. It is regulating whatever's going on and what needs to get done. That's like always putting its finger to the wind in a way to keep things working at a homeostasis as much as possible, to keep the temperature of our body, for a better lack of a better metaphor, but like to keep the thermostat at 98.7 degrees and just keep things working as they should. Well, when estrogen and these other hormones for reproduction start to not happen as easily, the brain will keep kind of trying to make it happen, and it's overworked the brain. The brain is just not getting what it needs anymore at the same rate, and so cognitive decline happens, brain fog. You can't remember someone's name that you have known forever, and all of a sudden you can't grab the word. Man, for me as an author and a speaker and a communicator, it was panic. Where's that word? What am I trying to think? And I will say, even to this day on the other side of post-menopause, I can tell there's just a difference in grabbing and reaching for words. So that's why it's important for me to stretch my brain, to read, to learn, to challenge my brain. Kind of the worst thing we could do is just fall into a social media slump and get too comfortable. This is not the time of life to sit back and say, well, life is over for me. No, this is now the life that you have for purpose, but it requires focus. And I'll talk about that more in a second. Okay. So all these things happen. These symptoms happen due to the decline of primarily estrogen, but also progesterone and testosterone. As I was saying, our bodies are chemical factories. From our trillion cells and the mitochondria we create in the cellular network, that energy is all chemistry. And just like our cars run on the chemistry of petrol, gasoline, our food, primarily food, is our main source of energy. Our food, what we eat, drives how we will think, feel, and choose. So I'm dropping the pin on there because if we're concerned about our hormones, our chemistry, which is our energy, we have to think about our food. Okay? We'll come back to that. At its core, menopause is an energy deficiency. At its core. My body can't cellularly turn over like it could. The lining of my uterus, if I have one, does not replenish as quickly as it once did. My ovaries I don't have the production of the eggs like I once did. So can we see, the factory is going into more of a a restful season, to say the least. Why does this occur? All right, this is the funny thing. I was listening to an interview. I just told you why it occurs. It occurs because our bodies stop producing these key hormones, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, at the same level it once did. And the hypothalamus is keeping us in this nice, comfortable state of reproduction and that stage of our life. That's why menopause happens. I was listening to an interview with Dr. Mary Claire Haver, which she's like kind of the voice of menopause right now. You can go read her book, The New Menopause. I think she's writing a book called The New Perimenopause. So she's just going to be all things menopause. So she was on a podcast with Jenny Garth. Anyone remember 90210? Yeah, 90210. Jenny Garth is now like 53 or 52 years old. Hi, we could be sisters. And as Dr. Mary Claire was explaining all these symptoms and what's going on, Jenny Garth kept saying, but why? It's so unfair. Why? Why us? Why does this have to happen? And honestly, Mary Claire couldn't give a reason other than, well, we stopped producing estrogen. All right. You and I both know that there is a greater why, and I will come back to that. So we'll come back. Meanwhile, the greatest things we can do, I'm telling you right now, if you're in this stage of life, the greatest thing you can do is to tend to your nutrition, exercise, and healthy mindset. Those are key antidotes to a change of life. If you do tend to your nutrition, and I'll talk about that more specifically because you're probably wondering, what does that mean? What should my nutrition look like? I'll get there. Exercise, I'll get there. Healthy mindset, that for us is the mind of Christ. We'll get to that. If you do all those things and you're still miserable, still got night sweats, still feeling like you can't remember your friend's name that you've known for years, you're just still feeling all these things, joint pain, ache, then you can consider, for some, hormone replacement therapy. Hormone replacement therapy is an option, and it is now different. And when we say that word, a lot of people panic because they think of in the early 2000s when women were doing hormone replacement therapy, then a big scare came out that people thought if you're on it, you can get breast cancer. But it turns out it was a really small percentage of women who were finding themselves diagnosed with breast cancer. And most likely those people were doing nothing with their lifestyle to help partner with good health. And so they probably might have gotten it anyway. So what happened is just because a little bit of a risk showed up, which, by the way, there's a risk with every medication we take, so be aware. Just because there was a small chance that showed up, then they blew the whistle and everyone went crazy and media went crazy and everyone freaked out and every woman thought they were going to get sick. So I was really hoping that the Oprah Winfrey show would go more into that time of the Women's Health Initiative. But here's what I'm here to say. It's been debunked. It's actually been shown that hormone replacement therapy that is bioidentical, that you get through a doctor, not off the streets, but you get diagnosed for you. You find out what's going on with your levels in your blood, then it is effective. Now, I will say this. It's also important that as a woman who uses the hormone replacement therapy, that they are also partnering with nutrition, exercise, and a healthy mindset. This is where we get in trouble, is that people just want the easy, just give me the pill, give me the thing, give me the shot, give me something. And if they have not put in place these lifestyle behaviors, it's actually sinking sand. You can't just take the pill and think it's going to fix everything. I will tell you this, if you go on hormone replacement therapy or whatever you decide to do to maybe make these things go away, if you're hoping for instant weight loss, it doesn't happen. It's not going to help you It's not going to, you put on the cream or take the shot or do the pill and like all of a sudden you've lost weight. That's not how it works. You got to partner this with good, healthy lifestyle. Keep that in mind. So if you're someone who's feeling all these symptoms, I'm telling you, don't pass by the foundation. Don't skip over baseline. Baseline is, how's your nutrition? Are you exercising? And tending to a healthy mindset in this time of life. Then if those things are happening, and you're still not getting better, then you can consider hormone replacement therapy. Okay, so let's talk about food. What kind of food should we be eating if we're having these symptoms and we know, something's not right anymore. It's different for me. My body's not responding like it once did. I've got some of these signs showing up. Well, first thing, anti-inflammatory diet. Eat whole foods. Meat, fish, berries, nuts, garlic, tomatoes, olive oil, whole grains. Basically, stop eating crud. Stop eating fake food. Start eating more real food. You are much too wise to be eating that kind of imitation stuff. Get yourself on an anti-inflammatory whole foods diet, nutrition. If the word freaks you out, diet just means what are you eating? Healthy fats are important at this time of life. Avocados and nuts. Reduce your carb intake as needed. So I say that as needed because some of you actually you need more carbohydrates because one, your blood sugar just responds better to it. Two, you are active. You're active and you need that quick energy release. But overall, majority, when you come into this stage of life, lowering a little bit of carb intake can help people feel a lot better. And for some, you might lower even more than another. This is where it's very personal. Get in touch with your body. Notice the night sweats. Notice if they're relieving. Just get a journal and take note and log what's going on with your body. It's also good information to take to a doctor when and if you're considering having some assistance in the hormone area. Okay, intermittent fasting is something that has been touted as useful for women in these stages of life where their hormones are shifting and moving, which really means close your eating window. That's all it means. Give your body a time for rest, a time for autophagy, which means cellular turnover. If our body has all food all the time processing, it never gets a chance to close down, let old cells shed and die off, and so new ones can come. Opening that window of the time that you don't eat and closing your eating window can be helpful. But I say this loosely because if you are an active woman, if you're a person who does exercise, you do like having a lot of energy, you do want to go to the gym, you do want to strength train, which is a very important part of exercise at this time of life, then intermittent fasting is not beneficial. And actually, Dr. Stacy Sims, she's a PhD physiologist, just one of the forefront of women's longevity, health, and performance into the later time of life. She is a woman should not intermittent fast, or she shouldn't do fasted workouts. The research shows it's not beneficial and actually can be more disruptive to your hormones and metabolism overall. But here's what I would say to that. Just close your window. Stop eating at a reasonable hour of the night, 7, 8 p.m. I'll just tell you, for me personally, by 7 p.m., I try to be like, that's enough for me. Sometimes 8. And then I know for sure it's going to be 12 to 14 hours until I eat again. My body just does well with that. When I exercise, I have a little bit of something in me, even if it's just my collagen, protein, fiber drink that I'm having, and maybe a couple bites of bananas, just a little bit of something. That helps me to have more energy, to have a better workout. I feel better, and our bodies are not as Stacy Sim says, we're not little men. Like men can do well with fasting. Women, it can be more challenging. But if you're someone who is eating all the time, you just eat, then it could be very beneficial to say, okay, I am going to not eat from this time to this time, and I'm going to push it just a little bit and push my window of hunger. That can be helpful. But again, just pay attention to how your body responds. But yeah, a 12-hour eating window or a 12-hour fasting window is just reasonable. 12, 14 hours, reasonable. 16 starts to get up there, but if you're hungry, eat. If you're not, don't. Honor your body. When it comes to food at this time of life, limit or remove alcohol. It's just not going to do anything for you guys. I just think when we get to this age, the Lord's like, yeah, we're done playing around. Those college days are over. I need you to focus. It just doesn't have positive effects. It's a class 1 carcinogen. It's a toxin. There's really just no benefit to it. And if anything, right now we're seeing a lot more people moving towards sobriety, which is awesome. Because I think people want to feel better. I know if I have a glass of wine, I'm choosing a glass of wine or sleep. Which one do I want? And 95% of the time, I want sleep. So keep that in mind. And then finally, hydrate. Get plenty of water, half your body weight in ounces in water, if not a little bit more. And those are the things to be doing. I'm telling you, if you are having issues with your not feeling good in your body, get zeroed in on food first. That's just my message from Revelation Wellness towards you, to you. What are you hungry for? And we know there's a spiritual hunger underneath that real hunger. Pay attention to your hunger. Pay attention to what you consume. Your body is made up of what you eat. Dr. Casey Mean says your body is a 3D outprint of your food you eat. Whatever you're eating, that is what you are made of. So pay attention to that. Then notice, I guarantee you, I'm just saying, we know that 42.5% of the population is now obese. And I say that loosely because, again, there's all health at every size. But we have a serious health crisis right now. We have a lot of people suffering in pain and just turning to anything to help relieve that pain. And we're using food to medicate. And if we don't start there, then what are we really doing besides adding more medication on top of other medications? Food. Exercise. Very basic. 2 things. Resistance train 3 to 4 times a week. Preserve muscle mass and bone density through resistance training. Resistance train, not HIIT training, like pick up a weight and progressive overload. You're going to challenge your body appropriately. For some of you, just picking up your body weight is going to feel heavy to begin with. Start there. As that gets easy, as you get to 12 to 15 reps for 2 to 3 sets, then start adding some weight with proper form. So we got you over on RevWell TV. We have a program called Get Strong, and we have some more coming for you back there in RevWell TV. So resistance train 3 to 4 times a week. Get some heavy weights in your house. I've got those dial weights for my home gym and really like them a lot. You're going to do that 3 to 4 times a week. And then aerobic exercise. Zone 2 cardio is all the rage for those of us in a certain age of life. Zone 2 cardio. You know why? Because it's not stressful. The last thing we need at this time of life is stressing ourselves out. That's why for me, the workouts that I could do when I was younger that stressed my body out and then felt good after I was over were not doing it anymore. I was digging myself into a hole, trying to demand my body to do what it did 10 years ago, thinking it's going to get better. And it just kept getting worse and worse. So make sure, however you choose to move, even with resistance training, I'm predicting there are going to be people who are pushing so hard in resistance training, they're going to get injured and feel like crud. Bottom line, especially at the time when you're not feeling good because your hormones are starting to fluctuate, That is not the time to stress. It's actually the time to move in a way that feels good and nourishing and life-giving, putting energy back into you, not depleting. So zone 2 cardio, if you want, you can do some sprint training. They actually say that, sprint training once, maybe twice a week. But again, if it doesn't feel good, you don't like it, don't do it. If you're tending to the food, the exercise can support what's going on cellularly with your food. Then you're moving the hormones. You're kind of getting the hypothalamus to go, okay, we're dialing in. Oh, this isn't so bad. But if your food is all over the place and you're not exercising, oof, it's wackadoodle land with the hormones. Your mindset. Here's what I have to say about mindset at this stage of life when things are changing. Just decide, this is going to be good. Just decide, this is going to be good. That what you look for, you will find. This type of thinking supports good body hormone chemistry. This is going to be good. You have been blessed with days on the earth. Perspective. Y'all, come on. If you find yourself getting sucked into, oh, my body doesn't look like it once did, oh, you're like Lot's wife looking back at Sodom and Gomorrah, burning down, and she turns to salt. Look forward. Good things are ahead. This is going to be good. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck trying to hold on to what you had. Let go. And I know that's a process, and it was for me, but I didn't have a teaching like this. I'm giving it to you now. Let go. I promise you. My own personal story was as I started to let go and not pushing my body to do something hard and let go of some of these silly behaviors. Like I pretty much stopped drinking. I'll casually drink here or there, but I think there's something also that lines up with this time of our life, with midlife, the ages of 40 or so. A lot of times kids are out of the nest or they're at least driving. You don't have as many pulls on you. You got a little more extra income, a surplus of disposable income, so you can go eat out a little bit more. Come on. For a lot of people, life gets kind of comfortable and we made it. And we actually start numbing in some ways and still trying to think we're still young, and we're like Stretch Armstrong and trying to hold to our past, but also wanting to enter into this restful or new season. So we comfort ourselves because we're so stressed, and it's digging a ditch for ourselves. So a lot of it, guys, always comes down to our lifestyle choices. So notice, for the most part, the 3 things that I just had talked about doing if you're in menopause or post. Well, menopause is one day. Good job. Congratulations. But now tomorrow you're on post-menopause. For the most part, tending to your food, how you exercise, and your mindset, these are all things that we should be doing and training in all stages of our life. Eating foods that nourish us, moving in our body in a way that feels good, thinking optimistically. These are things we should be doing in all stages of our life, whether we are prepubescent, pubescent, prenatal, postnatal, perimenopausal, menopausal, or post. These are just like the practical things to think about doing at any stage of life. My fear is now that we have a word for feeling like crud, menopause, or perimenopause, or postmenopausal, that in this particular stage of life, we're going to blame everything on menopause and say, it's not fair. Like Jenny Garth said, it's not fair. Why does this happen to us? Well, this happens to us because this breakdown in our body here on earth, it's really a heart issue. More than a body failure issue, it's a heart issue for us. And God is going for our hearts. So if you just think about the things you need to do and try and stay out of menopause or make it better, but you never let God get to your heart, then we are adding more chaos to the conversation around us and the conversation that we're having within us. Job 36:15 says this: He, being God, gets their attention through adversity. God gets our attention through adversity. 2 Corinthians 4:16-17 says this: So we do not lose heart. Though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. For this light and momentary affliction, like menopause or perimenopause or postmenopause, is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison. While we wait for our heavenly dwelling, because that's what Paul's talking about, this is wasting away because this tent is fading away. But one day we're going to have this glorious dwelling. That means he's talking about our bodies themselves, the resurrection, because in context, he's saying our bodies outwardly are wasting away. Book of 2 Corinthians, 1 Corinthians is a lot of talk of the physical body. And Paul is saying this is fading away. Our tents are fading, but there is a heavenly dwelling place waiting for us. And so while we wait, sisters, don't waste time. This time of life could be your best time in the Lord yet. Come on. All right, so let's move into some theology as I close you out here, because this is important. I really want to summarize what I just said. Nutrition, exercise, mindset. Those are your practices to get in place. If you still are finding the aches, the pains, the night sweats, it's not working, then consider seeing a doctor, getting some blood work done, getting what form, there's different ways to test your hormones, and let them know or get in that conversation of whether you would like to do hormone replacement therapy, or talk to your naturopath. Naturopaths sometimes have other options for you. But I just want to say, and I've said it from the beginning for Revelation Wellness, we are not anti-medicine. We believe it's a mercy, and it can have a place at the right time for the right people, but it's not always for all people at all times. I'll just leave that there. Okay, so take care of yourself, and then see a doctor if needed. Theology. Well, I just said, what if this could be the best time of your life? What if God is up to something really good? We have a hope, an eternal hope. Romans talks about how when we have suffering, we're to persevere, because perseverance produces character, and character produces what? A pain-free life? No. Easy money? No. Great relationships? No. Suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. Aging can feel like suffering. It can. It is. It's a loss. Okay. Can you just feel that? Grieve it a little bit? Like, oh, that's... You know what it makes you do is go, darn, I should have really enjoyed that. By the way, they're never, well, I don't want to be absolutist, but I really tried when I can do and move my body, do a squat or do the things that are challenging, I really try to be thankful, because I know there will come a day I will not be able to. And I don't want to look back and say, I missed it. I want to be grateful. I want to say, okay, this is good for right now. I'm grateful. So aging can feel like suffering. It's all right. You've got to feel it for a second. Keep going. Your character is being formed, and it will lead to a hope that doesn't disappoint the world. Jenny Garth, all these people that are trying to, work on their hormones and get to this perfect moment in time, it's going to disappoint. You can't hold it. We're all like trying to hold water in our hands. This world is fleeting, but we have a hope that doesn't disappoint. And God is not done with you yet. What if God is up to something so much better than you could ask or imagine in these years of your life, as you are letting go of the things of yesterday to lean in to today, knowing your tomorrow has a hope that will not disappoint? What if you just need to lean in the right direction? Some of you are in your heels trying to dig in and keep your youth, when I'm like, I think God wants you to push into your toes and lean in. He is the God of the impossible. He can do great things. And wouldn't it just be just like him to do foolish things now in the back half of a life, now that you're past age-bearing year or childbearing years or your fertile years or when everything is high and tight? What would it be like him to say, now, and now is the time? We're going to confound the wisdom of the world with this foolishness. The story of Abraham and Sarah, Genesis 18, long awaited. After the promise was made to Abraham that he would be the father of a nation. Now he is fatherless. He's got a barren wife. How is this going to be? Don't you worry. God makes a promise to Abraham, which is such a perfect setup right there. It has to be God. Only God can complete the promises for Abraham. This is why we long for comfort. We long for things to look and feel and be the way we want them to feel so we can get our A plus B is C. And God's like, I'm going to have to scramble that because I want the glory. And you want joy anyways, right? Because if you do it yourself, then it's responsibility. And responsibility isn't really joy. When God does it, we laugh. In Genesis 18, angels come to visit with Abraham and tell him, a year from now, you are going to have that son. This is years later, I believe 25 years later, after the promise was made, after the covenant was cut, after Abraham followed God 25 years. I love Romans 4 that says, and when his body was as good as dead, then the promise came through. Sarah overhears Abraham talking with these angels and the fact that she is going to have a child a year from now. And she is old, y'all. She's old. Talk about not supple. Estrogen, nowhere in sight. Progesterone, of the past. And she hears this, and it says in verse 12, so Sarah laughed to herself, saying, after I am worn out and my Lord is old, shall I have pleasure? And the Lord hears her and says to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh? And of course, we know she says, I did not laugh. And God goes, yes, you did. Yes, you did. God loves to do foolish things that confound the wise, like women who are past childbirthing years giving birth. What if this is the best time of your life? What if now is the time to give birth to those dreams, those desires, those aspirations? You've got some time and maybe a little extra income. Now is the time to give birth. You may not be giving birth to an actual child, but what about an idea, a dream, or a hope you have buried or tempted to bury because it's too late? Come on. Someone pray with me. Someone feel something stirring in the atmosphere. Nothing would give me greater pleasure in Revelation Wellness than to see us as a community of women confound the wise with our foolishness. How dare us to believe? How dare us to get our health in order? How dare us to take this seriously in the back years of our life, to be sharper than sharp? Now would be the time. When the world says you're dried up, look, all the evidence of your body is drying up because of the effects of sin, because when we believe a liar, we dry up. When we believe a liar, we believe this is it for me. I better just hunker down eat the ho-hos and stay comfortable, because the best was the past. Listen, I know this is not a new message. Every now and then people come and rah up and say the best is yet to come. But guys, I've got the evidence. It's in the Bible. There is a hope that will not disappoint if we endure and persevere. Wake up. These are our sharpest years. Friends, these are your years of clarity. These are your clarion years. Don't get distracted and blame it on menopause. Don't get distracted and blame it on, well, I don't have this resource and I don't have that. No, this is your time to focus. Above all, nourish your purpose every darn day. Nourish your purpose. Nourish is your biology. Do the things that you need to do to take care of your biology. Exercise, eat right, get your mindset on. Believe what God has said. Get off the time-wasting things that you do and focus. The world needs you now more than ever, sharper than sharp, even if you're drier than dry. Every darn day, you're going to nourish. That's your biology. And you're going to tend to your purpose. That's your theology. You are God's workmanship, created for good works in eternity past, that you should walk in them. That does not expire. Years ago, when I was just wrestling some things out with the Lord, asking him about what is to come, hey, look at me. Y'all, look at me. I am 54 years old. I have been in this industry for 40 years. This is the year of 40 for me. That's crazy. My birthday is this month, and I don't know when this is coming out, but it'll be 40 years. What? Took my first class when I was 14 years old, and from that moment, I started saving my money so I could go to the gym. Now, I wasn't an expert, but I knew that I had found the thing that found me. 40 years of doing it. And I'm in health and fitness. I can get on my Instagram right now and I'll find you hundreds of people that look the part, whatever that is. And if I'm not careful with my mindset, I can think, what am I doing? This is ridiculous. The enemy will come to accuse me. And I'm sure just as Sarah must have felt for 25 years as she waited for the promise. This is crazy. Nothing's happening. But God is faithful to himself. And he is faithful to you through every season. Prepubescent, pubescent, menopause, postnatal, prenatal, any season. He's not done. And I think we could be the generation, are we Z? No, X. I'm Generation X. Some of you are older, boomers. Some of you a little younger. But we could be the ones to say, the world is watching right now. The world is watching, and people are looking for people looking for them. We are not going to be the ones to roll over, get our ticket to the cruise ship. Instead, we're going to board the battleship. These are your clarity years. Focus. There's a great book called From Strength to Strength. I encourage you, if you need a little more purpose, need to nourish your purpose, you're going to nourish your biology and nourish your theology, nourish your biology, nourish your theology. And if you need, go to the doctor. But come on. And then the premise of this book, it says this, that in our early years, we invent. And in our latter years, we synthesize. So we're kind of tinkering around and trying things out in our early years, but in our back half, we're synthesizing. We're actually taking away stuff. We're not adding. First years, you're adding, but get the car, get the house, get the kids, we're gaining. But by the back years of your life, you're actually starting to strip away. You have fluid intelligence are the early years. Crystallized intelligence are the latter years. The Bible tells us that the latter rains are going to be greater than the former. So I have so much more to say about that. I should do another podcast on, I think we're going to do something around this purpose and remembering we have call. Revelation Wellness is for all people. If you have a body, you matter. But we wanted to have this conversation for those of you who feel like, man, I'm just not feeling well in my body. Well, now I hope today you feel like you have some informational, practical understanding why it's happening, what you can do, that you can literally start today. Don't need to even go see a doctor. But then, if needed, you can see a doctor. Don't feel fear. This is also nothing to be ashamed of. This is like stripes on your shirt. We have made it to this part of our life where we can synthesize and crystallize what we are here for. God has a purpose for your life and promises that He's made to you that He plans to fulfill. So you can go ahead and laugh. Maybe we could all collectively laugh together, but not at God, with God. Because these are the best years of your life. Let's go. Peace. Ashley, I got to do a call to action here. Hold on. All right. If this teaching blessed you, I would be blessed to see you at Health Summit this year. I think you've probably been hearing us talk about it in different ad spots and promos because we want you to know, if not at Health Summit, Rev on the Road, Denver, Colorado. We're going to be there June 5th through 7th. 5th and 6th is the Health Summit. Really, the Health Summit is not going to talk about menopause because we're going to talk about those other things. Why do we struggle with our nutrition? Why do we struggle with exercise? Why do we struggle with our mindset? And I am telling you, we are not going to tell you things that you have been told. We are telling you things that through scripture and study and understanding the body, biology, and theology, your life will make sense. So I hope I get to see you at Health Summit. That's for only 60 people, 60 spots open, and we have sold some spots already, so swipe up to find out more. But if I don't see you there for that, then maybe you can join us on Saturday for a 4-hour event called Rev on the Road, where you're going to get a little taste of all this and more, a good time to come and connect and revitalize your perspective on your health and your well-being. You're nourishing your biology and nourishing your theology of your purpose that God has for you. Your health is part of it. You're going to need it. So come get a better story for your body and your health, whether at Rev on the Road or Health Summit. All right, I'm not done with this topic. We'll keep talking. Hey, how about this? If you guys have more questions, you help us to form this show. Don't be afraid to go to SpeakPipe. Tell us what you want to hear. Swipe up on the show notes. There's a link there. Tell us what you want to hear more about. Tell us what you're like, Alisa, I need more clarity on that. Or if you're back in RW Plus community, please leave a message It's not an answering machine, Alisa. Leave a post back on the Facebook page and connect with us in any way because we're here to serve you. I had a blast today. I hope you did too. And I'll talk to you again soon. Peace.